I don't think.
There it is.
All right. Welcome everyone. Today we got a treat. One of my buddies who's been working on the exam with me for a while. We've been working on this and he's smacked that thing in the jaw and is a PMP.
Yeah.
Let's welcome Victor to the party, the celebrant himself. Victor, how you feeling right now being a PMP?
Um, Super relieved and accomplished, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. You've been very consistent. You've been rugged. You've been dogged. You had an addition to the family, but you kept going. You said, that's not going to deter me. And you kept on riding that crazy PMP horse that was bucking like mad. And now the rest is history. So, Victor, tell us, when did this journey even begin? What year was it?
So yeah, I think it's been like 2.5 years now. Like you said, I started it and I went through the like PMI online course because there wasn't any people courses at the time, like in person, because the whole COVID uh thing going on. And then I took an online course and it just all sounded like Chinese to me. I've been a project manager for a telecom communication for 5 years and been doing project management for a while. But when it came down to the PMI stuff, I was just like, oh man, this stuff doesn't really sound very friendly. So yeah, I was trying to just to self study, do videos, and I seen a lot of your videos on YouTube, and I was like, who's this? It's interesting and keeps it fun, and he's engaged, totally engaged with your students. I found out afterwards because I think I met you through, wasn't it one of like a tutor app? It was like an app I downloaded.
Oh, my goodness, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true, Victor. I'd forgotten that. That's
yeah.
wild. Okay.
It was so long ago, I don't even know what app it was anymore. I downloaded the app, and I was getting all kinds of requests from different tutors or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know this guy. Oh, from YouTube.
Yeah. I'd
So yeah,
forgotten about that. I totally, because it's like we've known for years. I totally forgot how it all started.
yeah. So we started communicating, messaging back and forth, and he's like, hey, why don't you just take one of my courses? And I was like, well,
Yeah.
great idea.
Yeah. Okay. Duh. I totally forgotten. I totally forgotten that. Oh dear,
Yeah,
Lawan says congrats. Good to see Lawan in the house. Another one of the tribe of Praisian who stayed on the wagon. And yeah, so I'm really excited to focus in on how you were able to do this. So why don't we begin talking about your experience when you started coming on the wagon with me and we started rolling towards PMP Boulevard, and then you came on the course. It was a little bit difficult because you are 6 hours behind a lot of the folks on the East Coast. So
yeah.
what was your experience like? You want to tell us?
Yeah, so I mean, it was obviously hard to get on every daily stand up with the crew and all, but I would be at work and I would jump on and we would go over different domains and go through tests and yeah, and then I took the immersion class. Well, I started with the immersion class and I got your book. I downloaded it. I actually printed it all out and I got it in like,
Wow.
yeah, got it like
Oh dear.
different folders.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow. Oh, hey, Victor, let me see that. So all kind of marked with post-its.
yeah, so they're
Oh
all
my goodness, that's savage. What?
they're all
Oh my
different
gosh.
asks,
Let me
right?
let me take myself out so people can see what dedication looks like. Oh my good, in color. Oh wow. He wasn't
So
playing. Wow.
I had I actually just tore it down last night, but I had my one of my walls just full of like I don't. You can get them at
You
like.
yeah, you
Oh,
sent the picture of your when you got done to me. I'm like, my goodness, this is a shrine. It has
yeah,
everything.
or like giant sticky notes that I put on my wall in my like living room,
Wow.
and they're just
Wow.
notes. And then whenever I was walking by it or whatever late night, I'll just go study it, and it was
Wow.
a lot of agile stuff, a lot of agile
Wow.
manifesto, the values, all that. So it was all right there, hitting me in my face. My wife helped me a lot. She was like staying up late night with me, and she would break it down.
Wow.
We would break it down and put it on the whiteboard each week or each month
Wow.
what we're gonna do.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah, we just stuck with it until I finally felt comfortable enough to schedule my test.
So it's like it started becoming clearer and a bit clearer and a bit clearer gradually, like clean a window that's stained, and then you can finally see. Like when you took the mock exam, I knew that Victor's ready. Don't even worry anymore. He's ready. So when you scheduled it, I'm like, yeah, I'm just waiting for the good news. But you were very persistent. You were very on it. You didn't ever relent. You kept coming back. And I remember we did some special one-on-ones to just get the people process business. You were really all in. And that wasn't part of the package, but you went for that in addition to really solidify your understanding. And you were engaged. I remember inviting you for all sorts of immersions. I've lost count, but you kept
Yeah,
coming back and you kept coming back, and you then you started getting it. Then I'm like, I know Victor already knows what I'm going to say. He's probably the one who'll answer the question. And lo and behold, you'll answer the question. I'm like, yeah, he's getting there. He's getting there. And yeah, look at it. I'm so excited.
yeah, for sure. So the emergent, the PM Bach is, it's a freaking novel, and yep, and the agile practice guide. Yeah, they all helped out a lot. Obviously the PM Bach's super boring and wordy, super wordy. Like, yeah, your emergent book it had stories in it, and it easier read. So, but when I wanted to go more depths, I would take out the PMBOK.
The mothership. Yeah, got to go to the mothership. Good deal. So let's begin talking about the big day, the big day, the big day. So what most people are keen on knowing is this whole agile thing, because we've heard it ad nauseum. Was agile like some crazy 80%, 90%, like 70%, like people say, or was it kind of toned down on your exam?
I feel like it was 50%. I felt like a lot of it was the process part. So, predictive and stuff like that. But also the wording on this test is not very well grammared. So it was kind of hard to tell which one was. So I remembered my wife's coworker. She's PMP certified, and she's
Oh.
like, when you go into this thing, just think like a project manager. You know what I mean? Like like the first 60 questions, I was just like, oh God, I don't know if I'm gonna pass. And I just kept remembering her saying, just think like a project manager. So yeah, the first 60 questions was a gauntlet for me. And then it started getting easier. I don't know if the questions were just
Mm.
or like it was just easier for me at that point. I was like, oh, I know this, I know this, I know this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
So
deal. Good deal.
60. And then my first 60, I did it. And then I was going to take my break. Instead of saying take break, I accidentally hit pass on your break.
Oh my gosh. No.
So
What?
I was like, oh no, keep going.
Oh no. That's
So
crazy. Did
I don't
so there
know.
was there one of those, there's not, are you sure you wanna do this?
No, There wasn't. I was like, oh no, the next question just popped up on the screen. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
all right, I guess we're doing this.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
yeah, so the first 120 I did without a break. But so I don't know if you've ever had a student do this or is if there's been a case that anyone else knows about, but I did special accommodations, which gives you
Yeah,
50%.
I have had some.
It gives you 50% more time and it gives you 30 minutes of like unscheduled breaks. So that was huge to me.
You were able to catch up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to have like snacks on my desk,
Nice,
water,
nice.
and stuff like that. But the way you do it is you just get a note from your therapist or whatever. He just
Hmm.
gave me a questionnaire basically for like ADHD, ADD type style. And I might have, answered them a little bit more favorably to a situation like that so that, he would write me a letter and then I can send it to PMI and they approved. You're in a different room as well.
Mm.
So I'm a slow reader and
Me too.
a little extra time, and it was good because I used
Yeah.
all my time.
Nice. Wow. Good job.
Yeah, I used almost every minute.
Good
So
job. Good job.
yeah, for me, I don't know if I would have been able to do it without it, but it just would have been way more stressful.
Hmm. Absolutely. So for those of you who have not tapped into the special accommodations, ADD, anything attention-wise, anything physical, if you have a hard time with your mobility and all that kind of stuff, do reach out to the PMI. It's in the PMI handbook, and in PMI's handbook, they talk about how you can reach out to them. Absolutely do it. I had a student out of the UK who had an 8-hour window. Back in the day, it was 4 hours. But thankfully, he didn't really need much more than that. But if he had had less, it might have been problematic. So always, consider those options. So it was just a couple of emails back and forth, right, Victor? And then Pearson set it up.
Yep.
Good deal. Good deal.
It was fairly easy. I just got a letter and sent it over to PMI and they approved it.
That's cool. I had a student though, where unfortunately it didn't go well. You probably know. I won't mention his name on the call though, but I'll tell you later. But you know him. But the problem he had with his exam is he showed up and the Pearson people are like, we ain't got any special accommodations for you. So this poor guy he said, I can't do it. I'm going to cancel. So he canceled it and rescheduled it, and then he got it eventually. But yeah, how disheartening to get into the test. And,
So
so.
what I did is I called the day before
Ah,
Thursday. I was like, hey, you gotta monitor these things, right?
yeah, absolutely. Project manager.
So I called. I was like, hey, you guys ready for me? You got a separate room. You guys don't bring some snacks, right? My wife brought me sent me with like a full bag of like snacks. I was like,
Aw.
man, there to snack. You know what I mean?
That's
But
how they
yeah,
do it.
yeah, she slipped a photo in there. My 5-month-old baby with a little note.
Aw, aw.
So that was my reason why, right? So
Absolutely.
we all
Yeah,
have why. It could be money. It could just to be better at your job. It could, I mean,
absolutely.
it was all my reasons. So like,
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet.
so yeah, that kept me going. Like my first 60, I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. My little note that my wife's like,
Aw,
nah.
aw.
So it was
Oh,
uh,
oh, bless, bless. Yes, I saw that she reposted that. It's so important to have stakeholder support in what you're doing.
yeah.
Absolutely have that support, for a lot of people that have been trying to do this, unfortunately, some of them don't have support from their loved ones. And their loved ones are like, when are you going to get done with this PMP? It's going on for too long. you know, so you don't want that to be the case. And you also gotta sell it. Some people don't upsell, what you're gonna get from it. But as one of my students always says to his significant other, you're gonna benefit from it. You better let me do it. So it all adds
Yeah.
up to the grand scheme. It's like for me, I realized that when I got certified, my salary level went up 300%. And honestly, if you become like really aggressive, I'm not saying leave your firm because that's not what I'm saying. But if one gets super aggressive and one looks outside, one can easily find remuneration that will be so many more times. I'll tell you stories later. We'll leave that for later. I won't go
All
into
right.
the details, but it's definitely elevating your game. That's for sure. Yeah. So going back to the exam tail, Victor, let's talk about the predictive piece because a lot of times people look down on the 49 processes and say, just read Agile. What do you have to say to those folks who say don't do predictive 49 processes is
That'll
obsolete?
be a mistake, big mistake.
Mm.
Yeah. Because yeah, they put you, like you said, they like a parachute. They put you in a spot, and you got to figure out where you're at, and you got to know what's next, what's before, what's after. It's very situational, like you called it, and all your questions, they're all really good, and all your books and in the learning center, like they're pretty on point, even though PSI tries to trick you with the wording. It's
Hmm.
it's like you said, it's silly, but like you just got to think about.
Did I crash or did Victor get hung up? Someone got hung up. So, Victor, what you're saying is that the 49 processes is not for naught, that it actually makes sense to read them.
Yeah, I mean, I like your mnemonics helped out a lot because like I got the, I see six chick bunks, protein, whatever. I got that one, and then I had the processes okay, but then I couldn't, like, for some reason I couldn't remember all the other the meat, right? The processes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let me try this. When you sent me the mnemonic thing at first, I was like, what is this gibberish? And then I put more focus into it and started working on that more. And my wife would, test me on them and stuff like that.
Mm,
Like it just helped a lot for me.
mm.
After, like, well, I gave it a second shot, and I was like, oh, okay. But the funny thing is, like you even said, you're like, oh, you can make up your own. This is just like, so I did. I would make up my.
Wow.
I kept most of them, and then I would make up my own on the ones I was struggling on.
Good. Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. And it's a lesson to people who say, oh, 49 processes is obsolete. It helps you, right, Victor, to know where you are and what's going on. Correct?
Yeah, definitely helped.
Good deal.
I
Well,
would say, yeah, I would say study those well.
that's great advice. Victor, let's talk about the final one that makes people scratch their heads, and it's none other than hybrid. Were they very explicit when it was hybrid, or was it more like buried, or how did you decipher?
All very buried. Like I told you, I felt like, Agile was 50%, but it could have been more because of just how they worded it. And I felt like you just kind of you have to know it all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I wouldn't skip on one or the other. Definitely not Agile, right? Because
Hmm.
that's a big one nowadays. And I feel it's important to know, um, just obviously for the test. And it's just a good skill to have.
That's true. Absolutely. Victor, let's talk about this area, the people area. When you experienced these questions, was it people in agile, people in predictive, or was it just people, period?
Yeah, people period. There you could tell when it was agile because they would say you're an agile project, or a what's the other word that they use for agile, like
Adaptive,
yeah, adaptive or something like that, or highly changing,
change
uh
driven.
change driven. So stuff like that. They didn't always use agile, but you had to obviously decipher for the words that they decided to use
Mm.
on the test. So it could have been more than 50%. Um, But yeah, that's where I felt like it was like 50%, maybe a little bit more for agile.
Gotcha. And was it more mindset driven for the
Yeah,
agile, or were they technical?
yeah, they weren't very technical with it.
Hmm. So more like the Agile Manifesto. If one knows that very well, one could
Yeah,
get some questions.
yes, definitely.
Good deal. Okay. And then moving on to the next one is process. So a lot of people that don't do well the first time, they go back and dust their books and they get serious with process. And it usually works. It usually works. And the agile piece, when we talk about process, we talk about pages 50 forward. So backlog refinement, sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, all those things kind of feature in a little bit here and there.
Yes, absolutely.
And then going into the business is always vague. So, I mean, was it clear to you the business content on the exam, or did it all just blend in with everything else?
So when you're done with the test, they tell you the breakdown of where you did good and where you know. So I did above uh average on the people business part, and I did below average on the business part. I mean, sorry, on the process part, because it's just it
Process is a
was
beast.
yeah, process is a beast. Yeah. So I wish I could have done better there, but uh
Pass is pass, man. Who, you know, pass is pass. You know, the real funny thing is people that have had bad experiences on one area, they just make a little tweak, and then they go in a couple of days or 3, 4 days later, and it's totally different. So a lot of this stuff, to be quite honest, I just take it with a pinch of salt, and I say, "Thank you, PMI. I passed. Bye," and I run
yeah,
off. I don't care.
yeah. Like my wife said, she gets degrees, baby.
Exactly.
Uh,
That, yeah.
I I wanted to get higher in that one, but I mean, yeah, it was definitely study processes. I
Mm,
mean,
gotcha. Let's talk about this other aspect of the exam, moving into your time management of the exam, and how you were able to juggle uh, the 180 questions. So you were straight through 120, but did that take you 150 minutes to get done with the first 120, since, or you spread it out for the second one because you did the at the accommodation, so you were not necessarily looking at that same yardstick. You were just, I'm just going to plow them down and see what's left, right?
yeah, I think I spent somewhere between I I think I spent like 80-85 minutes on the first 60.
Okay, the first 60 is always hardest. And you know what you said, I think the reason why it now appeared to be a little bit easier is because your brain had now accommodated what they were doing and the way the questions were worded in this strange grammatical, well, it's grammatical errors, right?
Yeah,
Or the tenses didn't gel. It seemed like they're trying to throw you off by the language, right?
yeah, they
Un,
were.
Unstable language, to call it that. So, Victor, tell us, did you actually study PMBOK 7 in any way at all? Did you open it
I
up?
not once.
Good, good, good. Good to know.
I didn't.
Okay. So PMBOK 6, you definitely honed in on that one. PMBOK 7, you did not do that one.
No,
Good. And go on, Victor.
I just watched a few videos on Pinbox 7.
Okay, okay. And I know in some of the classes I talked about the principles. Speaking of which, I mean, the principles, they probably just blended into something agile or hybrid, which is why I'm always thinking it's just the mindset, when all is said and done. Process is important, yes, but for the seventh edition, it seems like it'll just boil down to the principles, because cost is cost, schedule is schedule. Yeah.
Yep. I think I watched your video on this principles or
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was enough for me.
Good deal. Okay. So, Victor, based on your journey, is there anything that you would advise based on you looking in the rearview mirror, anything you would do differently?
I would have called Phil a lot sooner.
Oh dear. Okay.
Yeah, think I think I should have started out with like basic like definitions. A lot of them, we all as project managers already know, but some of them are specific to the PMI. So definitely know your definitions and yeah, take lots of tests. The test
Take those
definitely
tests.
take those tests. So
And you
like
you were on it.
off the test and you get familiar with the tricky questions and
Yeah. You were very diligent with the tests.
yeah I felt like I did, I don't, thousands of test questions is
Yeah, coupled with the homemade ones that you were quizzed on by your missus. So
that's
yeah,
right.
that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Get someone who will really give you time. Those people getting ready for the exam, have stakeholders, people in your corner, who can quiz you and hold you accountable and really uncover some of the mysteries. I'm telling you, just having people quiz you, you'll be amazed at what you find out because the stakes are higher. For me, there's also ego involved with family because you want to prove I know it. I've been studying. I had a student out of Canada and his kids, I mean, these kids are 12, 10, and they would quiz him on the processes and he will bomb it and they'll kind of make fun of him and say, we know it, Dad, you should know it. So,
That's awesome.
by the time they tortured him, yeah, they tortured him enough and he got to know everything and he's now PMP. He's been certified for years now. So, so stakeholders, they do help. All right. Is there any other thing you would like to share, Victor, that we didn't hit? Any high points, any super critical, important stuff that you want to share before we take questions?
Sorry, what was that, Phil?
Is there any like super important thing, anything else you want to share about your exam experience and how you hit the end button and the final story? Do you want to kind of tell the story a little bit more fluidly?
Yeah, I mean, definitely plan your trip out to the facility. I did a Google kind of Earth thing on it and figured out where I was going to park and kind of where it's at. And I looked it up online to see what the reviews were about and how if it was hard to find or stuff like that. Definitely do not hit the skip break because you should take all your breaks as
Mm.
just to kind of get out of that space, go to the bathroom, do some jumping jacks, shadow box, do. Uh, yeah, and then um definitely watch your time. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer, but when you get into it, you get caught in the moment and you want to try to conquer that one question that's taking you more than it. You know what I mean? So you can skip them. You can highlight them to go back. It was cool. Like when you had your lessons learned with others, they're like talking about using the strikeout, and I was like, oh, what are they talking about? I didn't know what you're talking about, but yeah, you can use a strikeout. Like you highlight it, and it puts a strike through the question or whatever. So you're like, oh, I'm not gonna mess with that one anymore, and you keep going to the other 3 or 2. Like you weed them out to the best one. And they tell you right there and then, right afterwards, and if you passed or not, and then PMI will send you a follow-up email. Otherwise pretty straightforward, the process of taking a test, but it like I've always got anxiety over tests, so I just if you're starting to feel anxious, just take a breather. You got plenty of time. and to just get back to it, so it's not like you're not going to have time to take a quick breather and gather
Mhm.
your stuff and thoughts and just get back to it.
That's good advice. So a lot of people don't realize you could have unscheduled breaks, but it's going to eat into your time. But it's at the same time better to get some, relief from just grinding away on those questions. Go out, get a drink, douse your head with water, as I have in the past. I've even taken up to 3 breaks on some of my exams. And that was before the time of the scheduled break. So I highly encourage anyone taking the test, if you feel at any point, and that's the advantage of taking it in a test center. Because if you were at home, you couldn't do that. You couldn't just up and go. You have to
Oh yeah.
wait till the scheduled break. Yeah. So going to the test center was a great idea. Awesome. All right. Let's see if our friends on the call have any questions. You got any questions for the PMP boss? Vivian is ramping up. Vivian says a good session. Focus less on P7 and knowing the inputs, but it's really more like, Victor, do you want to expand on it? It's really more like knowing the philosophies and then also knowing the process versus knowing the itty bitty inputs, tools and techniques and output. Let's talk about that, Victor. Now that you're done with it, what do you have to say about the ITTOs now that you know? Tell us.
Well, they're kind of important, but you'll get those by just studying the processes, right? So I feel like I didn't spend a lot of time on the ITTOs. The last few days I try to jam them in. Feels like, no, bro. He's like, pump your brakes, just keep studying on the stuff that you have been. He's like, it's too late. And it doesn't come up in the test a lot. So ITTOs, you should kind of have a grasp on them, but they're not that important.
We got a bunch of good questions here. Victor, how many months did you spend studying for the exam?
So on and off, I don't know, probably like a year, but yeah, because I started, I think, a couple years ago, and it was on and off. I got married, I had a baby, I moved a couple times, so but yeah, I mean, that's like, that's with me, like probably studying a couple hours a night, an hour a night here and there on the weekends, and then the last 4 months I really just hammered it. Yeah, baby was big enough to sleep through the night, and I would put the baby down and then come and just spend at least an hour and a half to 2 hours a night for a good 4. Just
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. You really earned your PMP, man. I'm really so proud, so ecstatic, so happy. We got some other questions in, so let me just beam them so that the viewers can see what we're looking at. So how many hours per day did you study? Kind of sounds like it's a mixture, but if you're going to give it like a Victor's recommendation based on what he's gone through, what would it be?
I'd say at least 2 hours, you know.
Good.
If you can't, do as much as you can. Do an hour, do 30 minutes, but for it to, kind of sink in, I'd recommend a couple hours a day or more. You can always do more.
And Victor, you were on the were you watching the radio show on the Spotify or the Apple podcast, or was it more like the audio on the MP3? Were you doing any of those?
I did use your MP3s. Those were good.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah. I think I got a bulk of the knowledge through the immersion book.
Were you playing the immersion audio, like getting Edge to play it for you, or just reading?
But only if I was like super tired that night. Like if I was tired, I want to read it, I would do it because it reads kind of funny, and it reads everything on the page. So
Yes, that's true. Everything
it kind
is
of
kind of.
so
I'm really impressed that you printed the whole book. That is.
yeah, thanks to my company, I printed out your and yeah, I'll probably pass it forward to someone.
Yeah, so Vivian is asking another question. I'm going to add it to the, that's funny. I'm going to add it to the list, but we have another question from our friend Lawan, who is now a boss, just like you. And her question is, which study tool was most effective? What would you say?
Yeah, I think the emergent. And then if I wanted to go deep into something, I'd use the PMP. I definitely read the Agile book back to back, maybe a couple times.
Wow.
Or front to back. Sorry, not back to back.
Well, maybe once and then again, like twice in a row, right? Yeah, you were on it. You were serious, and I think people can really learn from your story, because when baby was arriving, you said, "Okay, I know that I'm going to take a little intermission to do my fatherly duties, but I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit it." And you did. You did. You held true to it, and you were always on it. You were always on it. And I remember even being in London at like 12 midnight, 1 a.m. and you were at your mom's place and you were still on it. You went to visit your mom. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
And you were on it. You didn't relent. And I'm like, yeah.
Taking your classes from a balcony in Mexico for our baby. Yeah, it was all like,
wow.
I can't let it slip away. So I just stayed on, try to be on it as much as possible.
Wow. Bravo. We got a question again from our friend Vivian, and Vivian is asking, is the immersion available in audio? So you don't need it in audio. All you need to do is open up your immersion in Edge and just play read aloud. So thank you, Bill Gates, Microsoft.
Yeah. Different accents, different speeds. Is kind of nifty. Yeah, thanks for putting me up on game, Phil.
No problem. All right. So I think we got all the questions. Any other questions, or anyone who wants to give a shout out personally, just unmute and give a shout out to our boss so he can go party on the beach. That's what he's been doing. He's out in Hawaii, if you couldn't tell from the shirt. Any final shout outs to Victor?
Congratulations, Victor.
Oh, thank you so much. It feels great to finally end this chapter.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Aloha, Victor S. Lawan. You did it. I'm so proud of you. Great stuff, man.
Lawan was always on those calls, no matter what. Thank you for keeping it rolling, girl. I was like, any day, anytime, or anytime I called in, Lawan was in there. She was going to town, boy.
I love it.
Consistency.
That's right.
Motivating each other. It was good stuff. Yeah,
it was just hard for me to jump on every day at 2 because, well, my time too, right? So I was still at work, or I was driving home from work or something, but I would try to jump on as much as I could.
Yeah, that 6-hour difference is something.
Yeah.
Right.
Try to stay as much as you possibly can, and it'll stick sooner or later, even though it sounded like gibberish Chinese to me when I first started. I was like, all right, well, we'll get the verbiage down, and it came to me. I mean, slowly but surely it came to me.
Absolutely. We did it. All right, Victor, I appreciate you coming to share. Both you and Lawan, you're going to get your PDU for doing this for us. We really appreciate it, because a lot of people get certified and they couldn't care less. They're just like, thank goodness I escaped. You never,
Oh,
you don't see their brake lights.
about that for the emergent, do we get PDUs for that class or course? Or
So you don't get it because that was before you got PMP certified. PDUs are professional
Oh.
development units earned after the PMP. So this is probably your first PDU. So your PDUs start after you get certified. Yeah. The ones before you get certified to qualify for the exam, those are called CEUs. No, it's not CEUs. Those are called contact hours, I beg your pardon. CEUs are like college kind of stuff. Contact hours are before you get certified. PDUs are after. So you're going to get one PDU for this. Yay.
all right.
That'll be the beginning. But you know how to get the PDUs, Victor. I highly recommend being a member of the PMI you're already a member. So just use your membership to watch as many webinars as you can because and they're free, and then they claim the PDUs for you to your account, which is another one of the benefits. So, and shameless plug, if you ever wanted to come back and learn with your buddy Phil, I have the Project Leadership Institute. So, that's another vehicle that people use to get over 60 PDUs, based on our meetings and instruction. So we got one coming up on the 29th, where we invite people from outside. So we've got Dr. Rick Brinkman coming to share with us dealing with meetings you can't stand. That's going to be 2 PDUs. So be on the lookout. You just never know when you miss your buddy Phil, you want to come back and learn. We have these vehicles in place. So, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Victor. Really appreciate it. And then from your work, you get, I think it's 5 PDUs every 3 years or so from your work. So you need 60 in 3 years, but if you join the PMI projectmanagement.com, you're going to be fine. You're going to have enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you been to projectmanagement.com? So projectmanagement.com is just an extension. It's a sister site.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of the PMI. And I'll just go in and show, because we typically don't talk about PDUs enough on these calls. But we do need to start talking about them a little bit more. Oh, what do you know? Well, my browser has other ideas. It says no, not going. Let me try Edge, since Chrome is so miserable today. Bill, I thought you were on my side. Mr. Gates. All right, here we go. This is projectmanagement.com. And like I said, for those of you who are certified, after you get certified, you can go to webinars, watch live webinars, on-demand webinars. You earn PDUs. There's so many opportunities to earn PDUs. It's ridiculous. So all these fields, whether it's telecom, construction, some of those that you've been in, there's construction, the 26 to watch. I'm sure they would have added AI. There you go. There's AI. Everyone's talking about it. So, I mean, just, nothing. No AI. PMI, what are you doing? Well, it says 13. I guess I have to deselect that one. Yeah. Okay. So maybe AI will show up here. There we go. That's better. So yeah, how AI will transform project management and other cool stuff. Nice. So yeah, you can just go in there, watch the webinar, and you will get the PDUs credited directly to your account. ccrs.pmi.org is actually the place to go to put your PDUs in, but PMI will do that all for you. Yeah.
Do you do AI training?
Oh, do I have a? Yeah, so I've got AI training on Udemy. So if you go to udemy.com/chat GPTs, like chat GPT with an S. If you go there, it'll take you to my AI course. And I'm adding a lot of content to that AI course. I've recently finished a book, actually a couple of books on AI, prompt engineering, and AI for the project manager. So, you want to learn what's the latest and greatest for the project manager, how to use AI to create the documents that are talked about in the PMBOK guide, how to use it for earned value, how to use it to, just get stuff done and solve problems. This will be a good one to go to. So join us, Victor. Join us. Okay. Okie dokie. Any other questions or comments? All right, we'll let you go back to your partying, Victor. Thank you. We
Well,
appreciate you.
you.
Say hi to the missus and baby for me. Very proud of you doing this as a team. Well done.
Will do. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.